We're going to expand your horizons, your vista of opportunities that may exist. And I've asked my two guests to speak openly about a concept called the tap, which is a broad structure which you'll understand better by the time we're done the short presentation. And then I'm going to pierce a little deeply into each of these gentlemen's souls and try to understand what motivated them to take this gargantuan bite of a project out. So, Peter, you want to start off with what the tap is?
Okay, well, the tap began, well, why I'm here is my wife got sick about 18 months ago with a very aggressive form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And we were very lucky because we knew Vince and Will Lee, and they led us through the maze that is cancer, eventually to the CAR-T treatment and Moffitt. And there she is. She's doing remarkably well, and we're extremely grateful to these guys and to all the people.
Where is Maeve? I don't see her.
She's right up there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I'll be suffering
blending in
for pointing her out later on. But, I mean, we are enormously grateful for all the science and research that went into that, but it is being marketed around $1 million a hit. And we spent a lot of time in the hospitals thinking, well, is there anything we can do to make a difference there? And one of the thoughts was that maybe some different thinking could change things, that the models could be tipped upside down, that there was a way of getting some sort of revolution that would require different thinking, but maybe looking at consumer electronics where you design to a price, and looking at these new techniques using infrared light, focused ultrasound, electric fields that might be integrated in something that could appear on a platform at home. And we're learning, here, amazing people, amazing technologies, but not many of them talking to each other. And could there not be some form of platform that would allow all these sort of non-invasive new technologies to be able to see it? And the economic model we didn't really buy, because it seemed, we're moving to this world where rich people are going to live forever and poor people are going to die in their billions. And I don't think the trickle-down model is not guaranteed to change that. So could there be something where you look at industry, as some of the speakers have already been saying, and you look at these different models and try and get the scale to work on a completely different way? So streaming was the central idea at the beginning. In my industry, that changed everything. And could you get data really working for you? And the second part is, what is accessible, available, and cheap that is around the patient that could be analyzed and may help? So, the amazing work these guys are doing with food and diet and tomatoes, prostate cancer was one example. So it was just trying to see other ways to attack the problem from above by using industrial models, and from below by seeing what's available and using AI and good data management to make all that accessible and useful.
So I want to come back to the music industry analog, because I think it's an important one. But first, if I have one image, if you can put this up there. Peter insisted I show this. It's an image we took yesterday. Is it up there yet? You notice there's a bit of a halo above his head. Maybe especially wanted you to see this, just in case you have any questions. You see it's predictive, he says, of the future.
Yeah, she always says there's only room for one saint in the house.
So, Vincent,
and one devil.
And one devil, right. Vincent, as a physician, I'd love if you take us a little deeper into how this would actually in practical work. And I know that part of the thought is that you intervene so early that it changes the natural history of what otherwise, you could be a savable problem, but a much more challenging one to address, and certainly more expensive.
Well, I think, first of all, maybe we can explain why it's called the TAP. So the TAP doesn't stand for an acronym right now, but it's really inspired by the water tap, the faucet that can distribute water, bring life essentially to people anywhere, on demand, anywhere in the world. And I think the idea really is that we see the need for a platform that will organize aggregate and unlock patterns within two things. One is everything that is in the world's digital streaming ecosystem. So those things include all the things we've been hearing about at this conference, things that are accessible and affordable to everybody, but may not be that well known, and it's hard for people to actually take action on them. The second thing is a platform that allows us to really see within the body, and that's really kind of the things that we can talk about in a moment, which is how can we sense, monitor, measure, use AI about us as individuals.
Yeah, and maybe the old model is, you know, you wait for the problem to get bad and then you go and see someone. But if you think that the body in which we reside is more complex than the 787 that we flew to get here, that but the pilot, you know, he doesn't have to, when something goes a little askew, he doesn't call up an engineer and book an appointment in 3 weeks, who then recommends a more expensive and expert engineer in 3 months' time, and the conversation with the insurance brokers. He has something to deal with the issue there and then. So the idea of within consumer electronics, using this amazing technology and putting it together so you have a rapid response regulator that can monitor and deal with issues as they come up. It seems like a dream, but the technology and some of the people here are beginning to make this a reality. So we just want everyone to just talk together and work together to make it a single platform and not have the huge problems. You were just talking about Android not talking to iOS, classic example, but in medicine it's times 100, right?
Right. So I could add that, you know, there's really two parts of the tab. One is, can we take the unimaginable technology and bring it down to people? The second thing is, can we have a platform that can be a convergence, as Peter was saying, for many tools, not just representing one single product? So in that way, it's kind of like being an iTunes, in a way, for consumer healthcare. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of our vision of what this might look like. This is mine, Peter's, and the rest of our team at the Angiogenesis Foundation. In these concept diagrams, different multiple platforms are embedded within this. And the inspiration for this platform is really Iron Man meets Black Panther meets medical technology, I guess meets Dr. Oz. And basically in this showing, you see a frame that fits around the back of the ear and the neck and the jaw. And from this, a lattice work of hexagonal cells can be extended to mold around any body part. And then sensors can be embedded into these hexagons, and into also individual units can be fit in. So we're prototyping this and several other concepts as well. So let me just give you some examples of how this might help people. So imagine a world in which a person could be alerted at the earliest stage that you're having little tiny strokelets, developing your brain before you actually get vascular dementia, so that you could better control your blood pressure on a continual basis. Or a world in which you can start to see the first signs of microscopic cancer cells forming in your body, the way you would had you had the benefit of getting regular MRI scans, which nobody gets. So Mary Lou Jepson at the company Open Water has created a high-resolution scanner using infrared light, holography, an array of cameras, the same camera chips that are in all of our phones. And with that, we can visualize 1 billion times more resolution than an MRI scanner can at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, a thousandth of the cost.
Right.
If you see it as 2D, it's 1 million, and 3D, 1 billion.
So another example would be on the upper right corner, tumor treating fields. So those, as you know, disrupt cancer cells by many companies like Novacure are developing these. So the idea is that cells are like a battery, they have a polarity. So if you were to actually alternate using a low intensity electrical field, you can counteract abnormal mitosis. And in fact, a study of 450 recurrent brain tumor patients showed 3 times longer survival using these devices for patients who are treating at home. Another example would be on the lower right, low-frequency ultrasound treatment for chronic wounds. It's this technology that Dr. Woolley and I helped to develop and to commercialize. And it's already being used in the home care setting. And exposure to this type of ultraviolet energy upregulates angiogenesis growth factors, and you can see wounds heal at 40% faster after just 4 weeks of treatment compared to control. And these types of technology are things that are already either emerging, near emerging, or already available. The last one I just want to mention is the one on the lower right, on the lower left. So imagine if you could access data on how much lycopene that you're eating, as Dr. Willie presented yesterday, and also be able to quantify whether you're able to reduce your risk of prostate cancer. So a group at Tufts has developed a 2-millimeter chip that can fit, it's a flat chip that fits on the surface of a tooth, that can detect, measure, and transmit what you're eating. So this could also be used to quantify the microbiome in your mouth. The microbiome in your mouth relates to periodontitis, and that, as Dr. Libby was mentioning yesterday, directly is associated with cardiovascular disease. So all of these things are kind of the high-tech way for us to access these in a very consumable electronics fashion.
See, I thought there was a hot pepper on the bottom left.
Yeah.
I thought you were giving me something painful.
San Marzano tomato.
Exactly. It's a pain sensor.
Yeah.
The last thing I should show you is that, so if you take this kind of array of material, and we envision a design of so-called auxetic geometric cells, it allows you to expand and mold around pretty much anything. You could actually embed sensors in here, and imagine a person who's having some abdominal discomfort, and instead of rushing to the emergency room, perhaps he or she could find out that they have a kidney stone or a gallstone,
Or
and be able
red
to,
pepper.
or red pepper, and do something about it in terms of some early treatment rather than wait until it becomes a severe emergency. So anyway, it's really, I think, the idea of convergence for all these different types of technologies, and also treatment.
Peter, your career changed with the music industry. And as it became digital, all the musicians that I know of, and I'm sure you felt this as well, had to play a whole new game. So you've been through this once before. What's coming to medicine came to music for a bunch of reasons, I don't know, 15 years earlier. What parallels can you draw between the two transformations?
Well, I think that, look, my dad was an inventor, so, I mean, one of the things that got us interested when music turned into digits was to try and get a platform that would allow anyone to get any music, and we created a thing called OD2 in '99, 4 years before iTunes, which became Nokia Music. And so those parallels, you know, we see very much here, that if people could grab a platform that would communicate and talk to each other and allow medicine, really new types of medicine, to be streamed to the home, so the home becomes the treatment center. We had a great conversation with Luce Burton earlier on, who was very much developing this sort of area that streaming medicine is about to hit, and let's accelerate it and make sure it talks to each other.
If I understand the TAP correctly, and please correct me if I've got this wrong, but if you make the parallel to iTunes,
Yeah.
there's a universal platform. Every producer of music knows they can put it on iTunes or use one of the other platforms that are out there now, right? And we don't really have the equivalent. So a lot of the companies that I see out there who are looking at all these new ideas have vendor fatigue. Is your thought that there'll be one or two universal platforms where any inventor knows this is the basic code, put it in here, if I have a chip for your tooth to measure lycopene or capsaicin, it'll still work, just as well as it'll pick up early gallstones or evidence that you might benefit from CART therapy? Is that the vision?
I think that is the vision. So it's kind of, we need to have some way of not having fragmentation, but some kind of convergence. Things have to talk with each other, and that's the only way we can benefit from it.
So what created that in music, Peter? Why? Because for a while, everyone thought, you know, it was a dead-end business. It's changed quite dramatically.
Yeah, I think it's come to life again, but I think it was having the single universal platform that everything could happen from. And if you look at on your phone at the explosion of apps, you know, that is only made possible for young people without resources, without access to money, to suddenly be able to do things that actually get out straight away all around the world. That is because of this unified platform. So, you know, we would just ask or beg all of you to think about, you know, a platform that will talk to everyone else's. You know, and I think that many industries have had to rethink their models, as we did in music, because you used to try and own every bit, the 360 version of your income-producing element. And actually, in this new world, the more you share and the more you give, the more earning potential you seem to have. And I think, you know, there are big sort of paradigm shifts going on that medicine has to catch up with.
In our last 30 seconds, why'd you pick that song to sing to Maeve yesterday? It was beautiful, just curious.
So I can't, anyway. Yeah, you're doing amazing work here. I give floor. But in the same way that your work saved the woman I love, a lot of what you do will save a lot more people if you can get it to talk together.
Bless you both.
Thank you.
Peter Gabriel, Vincent Lee, Maeve, Bill Lee, all the rest of the folks involved in this. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.